Hey there, welcome to the table. We are here, just like every other YouTuber these days, to discuss ISS Vanguard. This game is heavily covered. Every major YouTuber got an advanced copy, so they've already have months and months of head start in covering this. Uh, I I'm not too concerned about it because, as you know, I don't ever ask for likes or subscribes, so I'm not necessarily in this for the money. I'm basically going to cover the game because I want to play it. So I am a backer. I'm a board gamer first. I'm a YouTuber second. Um, and so I do want to cover this game, and that's why I'm doing it. As far as I'm concerned, there's very little for me to cover that hasn't already been covered, except maybe hopefully I could go a little deeper into the scenarios than other people. If you're new to the channel, this particular video is just going to be an introduction. The actual playthrough will be in video 2. And then also, if you're new to the channel, I spoil the crap out of things. I don't care about spoilers. If you're here and you're watching, then you're open for spoilers. That's the thing. And if you don't want to be spoiled, then just go somewhere else. Um, we're now that we got that disclaimer stuff out of the way. Um, my initial reaction in setting this game up is there's some aspects of this game I absolutely don't like, and is it going to ruin the game for me? I don't know yet, and I think I need to play it to tell you. There's also some things that I think is super cool, which is what lured me into this game in the first place. So let me get you through the introduction to this, and the other thing to point out is that this is just Wave 1. There's a Wave 2. Don't ask me what's in Wave 2 versus Wave 1 because I actually don't know. I think Wave 2 is just more of the campaign. Like there's this initial campaign, and I don't know if it's a second campaign or if it's just a continuation of the first. I don't remember. But this Wave 1 is a ton of material. And I do have, I think, just about everything. And that gets to what I don't like about this game. Some of you have probably tried to save some money by cutting out pieces. And I think that those of you who did, you did a very smart move. So a couple of things I want to talk about here. I'm going to zoom out a little bit and just go over, like, there's a lot of components here. This is a whole box of miniatures. This is all my cards, which is a ton of cards, and these are all been sleeved. So I've been here for hours sleeving these things. And then, of course, we got some tokens. I have some sleeves that are extra, and I'm assuming it's because of Wave 2. They gave me enough for all the waves. I have my ship book ready. There are some looks like these are lander cards, so for you to beef up your landers. And then we have, these are player mats, and then there's a little player board. And then, of course, I got the dice and the upgraded dice. I got all the miniatures. I have the pets, the pet expansion. And then I even have the box expansion, which we're going to talk about some of those. I also have the personnel files here and so forth. So let's start with the part I don't like, and then, of course, some of the setup considerations. So first off, I have this pet section pets. You literally only get a miniature with this. So you're going to get a miniature that looks like this, one for each section. There's 4 sections in the game, so you're going to get 4 miniatures in this expansion. You don't need it. I think those of you who got the section pets already knew this. I knew it too. I'm not trying to portray myself as this full naive person. I was like, oh my gosh, I thought I ordered something and this is all I got. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to be just mindful to the person who's trying to decide, do I want to buy this game? And you definitely don't need the section pets. I can tell you without even playing this game yet, and I haven't played it yet, that you don't need the section pets. However, it is cool. So if you can afford it, it's nice bling. So you're doing this for the bling. And obviously, if I ever were to resell this game, I hope I don't resell this game. I've resold a few that I've featured on this channel. if I ever have to resell, it's easier to resell when you have this bling stuff. That's just my experience. But uh, I don't buy things with the idea that I'm going to resell them, though. So it's just a weird way to think. However, so what I got is I got this little box. Now I try to save all my boxes even though they're empty. Just to remind myself I do own this expansion, and because 6 months from now I may forget. I know I'm crazy that way. But inside of this box, I have a whole bunch of stuff that I threw in here, and what a large portion of them are the standees. So you get a punch board, right? And these are all the standee things. I have miniatures for everything. So one of the first things I did is I separated those out. And if you have the miniatures, you should do the same. And then, of course, you can see my little standee trays. Everything got stuffed in this box because I don't like throwing anything away, even if I don't need them. I just store them in this box here. So my pet box has all the things that I don't need. And I put them in here as well because then that's less things I put into the main game box. So when I'm putting this game away, I only want the materials that are necessary to play the game, like things like this. This is a perfect little box to store your unneeded items. So also there's these little rubber bases that go on the bottom of your character. If you don't have the sun drop, they have little rubber bases so you can know who's from which section. Because you can see this is the purple section. The pink. I gotta remember which section is which. I don't. One of them's security. One of them's research. I actually already forgot the other two. I apologize. Security, science, engineering, and recon. Those are the four. So, anyways, that's one piece of advice. You obviously don't have to follow my advice, but it's nice to do. The other thing is there's that comes with this. This was just a letter to backers thanking us. So I save everything. I just set it off to the side. And then the last thing is the personnel files box. Inside of here, I also have something. And what I have in here is pieces for the dice tower, which is the biggest piece of junk I've ever seen in my life. The fact that other YouTubers have not mentioned this, at least the YouTubers that I've seen, is a crime. I put it together, the dice tower. It's basically wooden pieces that use tabs to connect, and it falls apart like instantly. It disintegrates at the slightest breeze. If you have glue, you're going to need wooden glue to make it work. There's no other way. It does not hold itself together when you put it together. And so it's junk. It's absolute junk. So if you're, again, if you're thinking, do I want the dice tower? No, you don't. Now I've seen a lot of YouTubers say, hey, we're not going to feature the dice tower because, it doesn't work well with the camera. I think that was their nice way of saying that the dice tower is junk, but they got a free copy ahead of everybody else and they don't want to make the publisher mad at them. I seriously think that that's what the YouTubers were doing when they said that I don't want to feature the dice tower because it just doesn't work for my camera. That dice tower is awful. So it's not even worth having. And I got it I stuffed it into my personnel files box, and it's not even going to be a part of my game. It's in my junk pile. Okay, beyond that, what else? These little section boxes, they look very cool. I don't disagree with that. They are completely redundant with the section boxes that come with the game, so you don't need them, but they do look cool. And then the tops come off, and it's magnets. There's little magnets on these, so it's very easy to put them on, and then they stay on. Well, the issue I'm running into is, yeah, there we go. Now that's on. And see, look, I can lift it up from the lid. So the magnets are strong enough that it can carry its own weight. It's pretty good. And then, of course, it comes off with a little bit of force. The only gripe I have with this is they give you these section cards, which are like, it's what do you call them? They're divider cards. So they give you these divider cards, and they stand up so much that when you try to put this on, they actually see they interfere. So you got to like move the cards a little bit. See how I moved the cards and then it popped on? So the cards are the divider cards are tall enough that they interfere with putting the lid back on. Beyond that, I have no complaints. They, you know, if you're trying to save some money, you don't need them. If you have the money, I think that they're pretty cool. So definitely consider it. As far as everything else, the last piece, and the YouTubers do actually talk about this. They talk about how the upgraded dice. So this is upgraded dice here. Let's do this one. So these are the green upgraded dice, and I'm going to take a few out, and so you don't have to look at it through the bag. So here's green upgraded dice. They were saying that you can't see them very well on the camera. I mean, that's a bunch of bullocks. You tell me. I mean, you can see what these look like, can't you? I think you can. And their cameras are no more zoomed in than mine. Now, here's the green dice that come with the base game. Which can you see easier? I guess you could see this easier. I can see it because the contrast is better. But that's the thing. The upgraded dice, in my opinion, aren't upgraded. And that's maybe what the YouTubers were trying to say. I mean, I think that they're both very visible on the camera. It is funny, though, that they keep insisting on using this, which I think is their way of saying that the upgraded dice are not that great. So my thoughts is I've seen a lot worse dice. The halfsies dice were awful because sometimes, like, people make these dice where there's no contrast between the pips on the dice versus the actual die color itself. You need really nice contrast. I want to be able to see what I rolled. I can very clearly see what these symbols are. I just think that I do agree, though, that the little fanciness that they put into the dice actually takes away from the contrast that you have here. Like, this green with the white is very, like, it is super easy to read. So I'm not picking on the YouTubers. I think they made the right choice in choosing these over those for the camera. But I don't think that these are non-camera usable at all. I think these are very usable on the camera. I think it was just their nice way of saying we didn't like the dice, but we got advanced copies, so we're not going to upset the publisher. Because as far as I'm concerned, this is very camera friendly. So the upgraded dice are not that bad. Now, do you need them? Absolutely not. This dice, is, in my opinion, I agree, it's superior in terms of function. Maybe, you like the fancy glitter. The one dice, though, where the upgraded dice, in my opinion, are bad is here. See, look at those yellow ones. Then look at these yellow ones. Now, you tell me which one's more pronounced. This one is much more pronounced than those. So the upgraded dice are definitely a mixed bag, pun intended. And then the last thing is the personnel files. I believe that's another expansion. The miniatures, I'm not going to address the miniatures. The miniatures are something that you either pay for or you take the standees. If you're a person who wants standees, you're not going to say, "Oh gosh, I want the miniatures this time." You're a standees person for life. You're like that with all your games. It's not going to be any different with this one. The miniatures, if you do want them, they're good. And if you're a miniatures person, you're going to buy the miniatures. So not going to really worry about those. This part, though, the personnel files, is interesting. Every character in the game now has like a personal mission. I think it's super cool. It actually gives you a Gloomhaven feel for, like, how when you used to get the Gloomhaven characters and they would retire? If you're familiar with Gloomhaven, you would have retirement requirements. And so every character in this, they don't have retirement requirements. They actually have promotion requirements. And it works the same way. Like they gotta do something on a mission, and when they do, then it unlocks a new log entry, and then you go read about it. So I think in concept it's very cool. The part that is frustrating, or not frustrating, that's not the right word, I'm extremely nervous about, is you have 4 sections in the game. So let's just pick on, like, for example, the security section. In the security section, here, let me just show you. This is half the cards. This is 1/2 of all the cards that are in the personnel files. So you have 4 sections. It's not like you have 1, 2, 3, 4 characters in the game like you do in Gloomhaven. In Gloomhaven, you have 4 characters at most in the game at any time, and then this guy has an objective, this one has an objective. It's real easy to manage 4 objectives. I could have all of these characters in my game, and each one of these has their own objective. It's insanity. So that's the part I'm nervous about is, oh my gosh, how am I going to keep track of all this? But that's basically, and so these V's appear on the personnel file cards. These cards are what come with the expansion. These are not base game cards. And my understanding is that once they reach their objective, then they get promoted to veteran, which is I think what the V stands for. And so this veteran status is, so this person would now have, 2 specialty dice, and they have this specialty ability. And then over here you could see when this person joins your team, you read the introduction, and then here's their objective that they have to do. So when you end your turn in a sector with no biome icon and without any other crew member in your sector or connected sectors, go to completion. So you got to meet all that criteria, and then you go read that file, and then boom, they then become qualified for veteran status or whatever. So I think that or they have to be ranked up. There's criteria in the rulebook. I got to go refresh my memory on it. But yeah, so this is 1/2 of the cards. So there is a crap ton of personnel files, and every one of them has their own individual objective. It's insanity. Like, these guys who made this game had to have spent a lot of hours on this particular expansion. I do give them credit for it. I just think that from a solitaire perspective, if I'm going to solitaire 4 sections, and I am going to solitaire 4 sections, I'm not going to do the solitaire thing where I only do 2 sections at a time. I'm going to play this like it was a 4-player game, except I'm going to do it solitaire and I just control all 4 players. That's what I was trying to say. It just feels like this is going to be overwhelming to manage. And I'm very curious to see how it plays out. And right now, it's how it feels, but I have not played the game, so please don't take my word for it. I'm just giving you my initial reaction. It feels like it's going to be very overwhelming. The last thing I did, which I know is highly debated on its value, is I did buy the sleeves. So these are the sleeves that come with the game. First of all, these sleeves are as good as any FFG sleeve I used to have. They shuffle fantastic. They're high quality. So they're good sleeves. Awaken Guard, I never heard of them, but these are excellent sleeves. So if you're worried about getting crappy sleeves, don't worry about that. The bigger thing about the sleeve expansion that appealed to me is that you get the base game box, which is here. So let me swing you over. This base game box, by the way, these are the original section boxes, right? So these 4 things are replaced by those 4 things. But this is like all the cards fit in here. These are the big cards, and then these are the little cards, and then there's more sections for cards here. But once you sleeve them, they no longer fit in this. So what they did is they give you a whole new box here, and now all your sleeve cards perfectly fit into this box. And I actually have some extra space here and extra space here, which I put the personnel files. So from my perspective, it was just nice to have the extra storage. So now I have boxes that are made for sleeved cards. So I could have bought the base game, bought my own sleeve separately. I might have even saved some money because I don't remember how much I spent on the sleeves. But to me, the real value was having a box that fits the game. So the game actually fits in this box. I don't even need the game box anymore. because all the components that are here that you see and those miniatures and this dice, I can squeeze them into this box. There's room here and here for more stuff and here. So I can put the entire game away in the new sleeve box. I know that sounds crazy, but I can do it. So that's part of it. The next piece is when you're setting up your game for the first time. The rulebook has a whole section on that, and that's here, the Chapter 1 Introduction. I highly recommend that you don't skip through this and you do go through it carefully. It does try to tell you like A, B, C, D, E, so the points of interest are A, and then missions, and then global conditions. And so if you come in here, you can see points of interest, missions, global conditions. So you can see the card dividers, right? Now, a couple of things, and this is just me recommending. If you do it in the order they tell you, then the sleeve cards fit perfectly in the size box that it was meant for. If you do it in any other order, you're going to run into situations where, maybe they don't fit as well. That's one piece. The second piece is when you unpack all these cards, it's going to be really hard to know, okay, well, which cards go where? And so it does tell you. So, for example, especially over, right here, put all global condition cards behind the global conditions divider in ascending order. It's helpful because sometimes they don't need to be in any particular order. Sometimes they do. So it tells you. And then over here, you have an armory card. See this? See, A is armory, and then B is unavailable equipment. So first it's armory and then unavailable equipment. Well, the armory that's the equipment that you have available. So if you come down here, it says put all equipment cards behind the unavailable equipment in ascending order. So that means you put none of it behind the armory. So the armory divider tab has no cards with it. And I know that might make sense to you. It's common sense that you start the game with no actual equipment. But as you're going through these entire stacks of cards, like there's tons and tons of them, it tells you like which ones get cards and which ones. And if you look up here, the armory isn't mentioned down here. So therefore, there's no cards that go into the armory divider. So there's some dividers that are just there, and there's nothing that goes in them. The scan planets or whatever should be another one. But there's resting crew. There's another one. That one's an empty divider, and then everything else goes under recruits. And so it does a real good job of explaining it to you. And then even like the situation cards here, put all situation cards numbered 1 through 10 behind possible, and then from 11 and higher, they go under future. So it does a really good job of breaking it out, but you have to like step through it. And it took me 2 hours to get through this. Now, mind you, I was also sleeving the cards. So we're adding in sleeving time. I'm watching The Watcher on Netflix, and I'm doing all kinds of other stuff too. So I don't want you to think that it's going to take you 2 hours. And I know there's always that one person, or it only took me 25 minutes. And that's great. I'm just giving you an idea that it took me 2 hours to do. Maybe the superhumans out there can do it in 25 minutes. I did it in 2 hours. The last thing I want to talk about, though, is the section compartments, because that's this. So it asks you to set up the section compartments, and I can't explain to you, like, this is just a brain fart on my part, and I'm sure that everybody else doesn't have this problem, but I had this problem, and maybe you will too, and maybe I'm saving some of you some time and effort. But it says that the section cards have to be in rank 1, 2, and 3 in order. And so this is the section cards right here. So I'm going to go behind the divider and grab the section cards. So rank 1, 2, and 3. The first thing I did, and I'm going to just show it to you the way I was doing it. Okay, which ones are rank 1? Which ones are rank 2? Which ones are rank 3? I don't see any rank 1, 2, or 3. Oh, okay, well then let's flip it over. So I'm looking for rank 1, 2, or 3. Okay, there's no symbols on the corners that tell me what rank it is. I'm looking at the text on the top. I'm looking at the text on the bottom. Okay, which ones are rank 1? Which ones are rank 2? Which ones are rank 3? The actual rank is right here. It's in the middle of the card. And maybe for some of you that's like duh, but for me, I this was like the last place I looked, and I was like getting frustrated. I'm like, where the heck is the rank? And it's actually in the middle. This is saying that this is a, that's I think security section card. Well, security section's on the front. Well, they got security here. See, to me, I thought these were like dice symbols. Like when you do the card, this is like symbols for the action. It's not. It's telling you that's a rank 3 card, and then here's the action up here, and there's another action down there. But that's telling you that's a security card that's rank 3. So it took me like more time than I care to admit to figure out what the ranks were and where they were located. The rulebook even gives you the chevrons, but it doesn't say where on the card to find it. And I don't know, maybe the rest of you don't have the issues I did, but I struggled mightily. I'm really glad I wasn't recording. That's all I have to say. And then lastly, there's the ship book, and the ship book has some preparation as well. You have to put objectives, and I do want to say like this lays out where every card goes. However, there's some cards that don't have any description of where they go, and that's these campaign objective cards and secondary objective cards. These cards and then this planet cards that you see here, I was never told where to put them. So I found that interesting because this game is so thorough in telling you what every purpose is for every card, except for these ones. So these secondary objectives and then tech level, which I did figure out what the tech level's for. And then there was also a morale level, and you'll see that in a second. So so I just put them in the extra section here, off to the side. So the ship book is one of the big, I think, innovative things with the game. Is basically you have this book where you log how your ship is doing, and like in between missions, you're doing production and XCOM like things. So what you do is you get to add these extra, it's a binder, and you have to put them in numeric order. So the page number for these are here, and then of course those are there, and these are separate. These are in a separate container, so you have to like put them in properly. But what it tells you to do is you start the game with certain cards already in here, and then these cards would get. Well, this is our current objective, and when we complete this objective, it would get replaced with another objective later. Remember, I told you that the tech level, I figured out what that is, because we're at tech level 1 at the start of the game. So that card goes in here. I did find it interesting. There's a tech level 0 card. So how is it that we start the game at tech level 1 when there's a tech level 0? I'm confused by it. Maybe they did it for completeness, because maybe they're going to sell other campaigns later, and tech level 0 could be how a future campaign starts out. But right now, we're starting at tech level 1. So for whatever that means, there is a tech level 0 card, but we don't start at tech level 0. And then there's a morale card, and that's what this is. And so there's only one in the game, and it goes here, and it flips and twists and rotates depending on what the morale is. And so there's a couple things like that that you have to set up. And then if you keep going, this is the research project. So we have one research project, biomedical enhancements, and I think I put this in backwards. I'm pretty sure I did. It needs to be this side. So that was my mistake. Okay, so this biomedical enhancements, it costs 1 microorganism discovery, and then it would grant me these things, and then of course you flip it over and it does stuff. And then if we keep going, these are all things that are ready for production. So there's 4 projects ready for production, and so forth. I don't think there's anything else that we've had to add. We start with the Space Ranger lander. So that's the lander we start the game with. And what else do we got? That should be it. These are unique discoveries. Some medbay stuff. And then memorial, which is interesting. This is where your dead characters go. All right. So I remember I said that there were certain things I didn't like. The stuff I didn't like was just some of the bling was so bad, like that dice tower. Now, as far as like the gameplay goes, I can't fully tell you what I think yet until I start playing. I'm going through the rule book. Like I said, we'll start playing. We'll do the tutorial mission, which I know everybody else is doing the tutorial mission, but there's really no other way to do this game. We're going to try to play the campaign. The So my initial thoughts. My initial thoughts so far, going through the rulebook and not having played a drop of this yet, is no one's kidding when they tell you this is an extremely narrative game. It is. And my concern is I don't know if there's a lot of gameplay here. Like, this is, as far as like a board game goes, the gameplay mechanics are pretty minimal. I mean, you're taking dice and rolling them and then seeing what happens. I mean, that sounds very Monopoly-like if you think about it. But there's some strategy that I'm going to roll these dice instead of those dice. I mean, there is some strategy there. I'm going to bring this character on the mission instead of that one. There's strategy there, but it's very cause and effect. This game is a story, first and foremost. Like, okay, again, I'm just giving you my initial impression. This game is very much a story where you play some of the time, versus other games you play and then it also has a story. Part of the reason this is in my collection is because it's so different from the other games I own. And I like that and I appreciate it. I just don't know if I'm going to really enjoy this game or not. And for the amount of money I just spent, I hope I do. Because that's part of the buyer's guilt, right? I actually think I am going to enjoy this game. It's just how much am I going to enjoy it? Like AD Hunters 2114, I ended up not liking that game at all. And I thought I was going to love that game. And then when I first started playing it, I really loved that game. But then the more I played it and the more that food became such a factor, I really started to despise it. Dungeon Universalis, I loved that game at first. But then I started to realize rule after rule after rule, and then I started to despise it. I don't know how I'm going to feel about this one yet, but at first I have apprehensions. I'm excited, but at the same time, it feels like it's a story with a little bit of game mixed in. That's my impression. So we're going to dive in and let's see if any of that's true. And what I'm also excited about is the ship book, the management in between meetings. That part was really interesting to me. I like the idea of making those kind of personnel decisions and research decisions. I think that's really cool. So let's see how it plays out. My mind is open. I don't have a closed mind at all about any of this. I'm just, giving some initial thoughts. I think, some of the things I bought were an absolute waste, and I totally recommend that you don't buy them. Or if, Awaken Realms ever comes across this video, that they figure out a way to improve that dice tower so it actually stays together after you assemble it. That would be great. Okay. The rest of this. I want to address, I have been notorious these last couple of months where I've been starting campaigns and not finishing them. I can't commit what I'm going to do with ISS Vanguard either, because this game, I guess, is 20 plus hours. But let's talk about a few things. Dungeon Universalis. I started that one. I made it 5 or 6 missions in, and I quit. I just want you guys to understand that one is sold. I dislike the game so much, I don't even own it anymore. So that's how I feel about that one. A lot of you loved that playthrough. And it's still, like with the new Kickstarter that just started, I'm getting a lot of feedback that Dungeon Universalis playthrough is a really positively received one. So I feel really bad because I feel like I let you guys down. I manage my channel. This is the Jeff channel. It's not a board gaming channel. It's the Jeff channel because it's supposed to be about whatever Jeff fancies. I cover my motorcycle on this channel. I cover, I think I made a brisket one time on this channel. So I don't always just cover board games. I don't ask for likes and subscribes. And because the reason I do that is because I don't want people to feel like because I don't want to owe people something. I want to record whatever I want to record. But at the same time, I feel really guilty because that one, I know people really were into that campaign. And for whatever reason, it ticked a lot of boxes for people to show them how Dungeon Universalis works. I'm actually embarrassed by it because I felt like I got rules wrong all the time. But I think people were very forgiving, that they understood that it's just a very rules-heavy game, and it still helped them to understand what they need to do when they play their game. So anyways, my apologies there that I did not and I will never finish that campaign. Stars of Icarios is still underneath this table, and it's still set up. So I could theoretically finish that campaign. With this starting, I probably won't. Stars of Icarios is still a game I really love. I enjoy playing that game. So you might see me come back to it. Descent, Legends of the Dark. I started that campaign, and I actually enjoyed it. Overall, it's an enjoyable game. I really hate the flipping mechanics, but I quit that campaign, I put the game away, and I am likely not going to continue that one. Largely because I really felt that the scenarios were starting to feel samey to me, and I was starting to get bogged down with just having all these cards, and they all basically did the same thing, and it just didn't feel very... it missed its mark for me. But at the same time, FFG did a good job. Like, I love the app. There's so many things I love about that game, but you're very likely not going to see me continue that one. This game I would much rather play than Descent. I would much rather play Stars of Icarios than Descent. So the reason Descent's not continuing is not because it's a bad game, but because I just like the other games I play more. And so I'd rather just invest my time into those. Also, Spruance Leader is coming. I got the shipping notice, so it's going to arrive while I'm in the middle of this. I am very torn because Spruance Leader is a game I've been waiting for over 2 years for, just like this one. Super excited about that one, and I don't know what to do about having two games I'm super excited for at the same time. And then also Europa Universalis is coming as well. So there's a lot of stuff that's going to put pressure. But those of you who are familiar with this game know that I did not get this copy for free. The publisher doesn't even know who I am. They did not send me an advance copy. I don't have all the rights and privileges of other YouTubers. I paid full $1 for this. So I want to get my money's worth. And that's for me personally. Screw the rest of you guys. No, I'm serious. So my intention is they're going to cover this game. And I apologize, that went a little ranty there and off topic. But I just wanted to make sure I, covered some of the other stuff that's been going on in parallel to this. So ISS Vanguard. Let's get it going. I still need some rulebook reading to do. And then we're going to jump into the tutorial, which is very, from my understanding, it's very prescriptive. So, there's not a lot of opportunity for mistake there. And then we'll get into the campaign and go from there. And, I'm excited. Like I said, I don't know what I'm going to think about a game that's very narrative and the gameplay elements are minimal. I think in the long run, I'm going to end up not liking it, but I'm curious. So that's it. I know I've said that before, so I will end it here. And as always, thank you. Stay awesome and stay healthy and safe.